when I was serving in Virginia, and I was served in this area for 6 months, and I had been there for about 5 at this point, and my companion and I were praying for a media referral, because those are always miracle stories, and we had seen a lot of success with them in the past, and so we were being exactly obedient, trying to do everything that we could, and we got a media referral. We got a text, and we jumped for joy, and so we go to contact it immediately, and he wasn't home. And so the next time we go, this boy answers. He doesn't have a shirt on, and he kind of looks at us and is like, "Oh, sorry, 1 second," and shuts the door. And we're like, "Man, we were so excited for this, but we keep waiting." And he comes back out, and he puts the shirt back on, and he goes, "Sorry, I just had to put a shirt on." He goes, "You guys actually came," and we're like, "What? This is real?" And so we get talking with him, and his name was Nate. We called him Nate the Great. And he was 19 at the time, I believe. And he had told us that he met with missionaries a couple years ago, just once or twice, and went to church with them. And he was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And he mentioned the missionary's name, and it was an elder that had gone home recently. And so we're like, "Cool, we know who he is." And so, but he had just kind of gone a different way. And as we were talking to him, we're like, "So, what made you want to call us again? Why?" And his answer, I still hear it in his own words. He turned and he looked at us, and he says, "There's no hope in Satan." And he continued to tell us that the past 3 years he had been part of a satanic cult. And, I'd never met anyone like that. And I've heard about those, and I knew that, it was not a very comforting thing to be a part of. But as he just shared his life story with us throughout the next little while, we learned so much from him, and how connected he was with the Lord and with the Spirit, even before he was baptized. And it was just remarkable, because we would go over and we would teach him, and after we'd leave, we'd come back, next day or so, and he would say, "Sorry, I'm so tired. I was just up all night watching General Conference." He's 19. And he was living with his girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't too religious because she'd been part of the satanic cult as well. And so she didn't particularly like us at first. And he would say, "Yeah, my girlfriend just got mad at me because I was reading my scriptures all night, and they're just so good." And he would come and tell us that he'd been watching General Conference addresses from the 1970s, and just was engulfing all of this, and he loved it so much, and he knew it's what he wanted. And I think it was the second or third lesson, he was like, "So when can I get baptized?" And we're like, "Whenever you want." And he had to overcome a few word of wisdom setbacks, but we came one day, we didn't even teach the word of wisdom yet, and he said, "Yeah, so last night I dumped all the rest of my alcohol down the drain, and my girlfriend was so mad at me, but I did it because I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I just felt like it wasn't good." And the hardest thing for him to overcome was smoking, but he did. We forgot to tell him that an e-cigarette was the same thing as smoking. And so, a couple weeks before his baptism, we see him walk down the block, and we're like, "Nate!" And as soon as we told him, he was like, "I am so sorry." And he was just so pure and innocent in many ways, but also he'd experienced a lot of other things. And so he wanted to get baptized on his birthday in October. So that's what we were planning for. It was about a month and a half away, but then he was like, "Actually, I want to get baptized sooner. When can we do that?" And so it was for the beginning of October, and transfers were the week before that, and so I got transferred. And I was really sad, and I was 9 hours away at this point, and so it was not feasible for time or anything to come down and see it, but just a powerhouse, Nate the Great, that's what we call him. So I think that's my favorite thing about, as hard as it is to come home, I love being able to call people from the mission and talk to them and text them and see how they're doing. And so, yeah. In the same area, it was another media referral, and as we were going to contact it, it was kind of in a part of town that we hadn't spent a lot of time in. It was a little more run down, and we knocked on the door, and this woman answered, and she she was kind of like taken back, like, you came like another time. And so we're like, is this real? Like, are we, is this a movie? Is this a Mormon message? And so she let us in, and we got talking to her, and she's from South Sudan and has lived in the States since she was our late teenage years. And when she was a teenager, the missionaries used to go over and see her mom when they were living in Northern Virginia. And she had taken the lessons and gone to church and was on date to be baptized. And then she just got scared and moved. She up and moved, didn't even tell the missionaries, and she just left and moved to the southern part of Virginia where we were. And she had lived there for a few years and had gotten into some trouble with her boyfriend and so forth, and ended up in jail for a little bit. And then was now on house arrest. And we taught a lot of people that were on house arrest. It's nice, they were always home. But going back to the point of losing all judgment and loving people, I loved teaching people who had been in jail. I loved teaching people who had made, different choices and experiences, because they were always so humble about everything, and that they understood so much. I feel like maybe not maturity is the right word, but it was just their spirits were always so strong. And so with that book, she became one of my best friends. And as we taught her again, she said she wanted it. She said, I know that I need this in my life, and I want my kids to have it. Her kids lived with her mother in Northern Virginia, and she was pregnant and was going to have a baby within the next couple months. And so as we taught her frequently, she would come to church every Sunday and wanted to be baptized so bad. We hadn't invited her to be baptized because with her being on house arrest, she had to wait so long until she could be baptized. And so we didn't want to, dishearten her. And so we just hadn't asked her yet, but we knew she wanted it. And one lesson we were reading in 2nd Nephi, when the angel or in 1st Nephi, when the angel is showing Nephi the meaning of Lehi's vision. And in the chapter, it says look so many times, and look with an exclamation point. And as I'm reading this with her, every time I read that chapter, I always want to scream, look, because sometimes that's what the Spirit does to us. It's kind of like, hey, pay attention. And so we're like yelling, look, as we read it. And she was laughing and stuff. And so as we get to the next verse, she says, wait, I want to read this one. And she was not super confident in her English, but she spoke very well. And so she's reading it, and it came to pass, and the angel said, look! And she screamed, look! And it was so funny, and we're all laughing. So anyways, she was just a huge example to me of someone who loves the Lord and wants the best for herself and for her family, and willing to do anything to change. And this is more of a sad story. And I think the hardest part about being a missionary is seeing people with such great potential and love for the Lord, and then seeing them not be able to partake in it because of family members, because of other circumstances, like the law. She couldn't be baptized for so long, or had to wait, and it was really disheartening on her. And at one point, she had texted us saying, not to come over again. And we were completely shocked. This is our book. You've come to church every Sunday for 3 months. What's going on? And we went over to see, and her uncle wasn't too fond of the church or us. And it became a pretty dangerous situation for us and for her. And it was really hard to have someone that you love so much and then not be able to see them or talk to them or anything. And it was really hard for me. It's still really hard for me to think about it. But I also, because of those experiences of, meeting these people that met with missionaries so long ago and are coming back, I have full faith that I'll find her again someday, or someone will, and that the Lord is watching out for her, because He's her child. We're all His children, and I gain so much comfort in the scriptures that speak about, every knee shall bow. One day everyone will know. And so no matter whether it's your family members or people you'll teach, I have full the people will know. It's just a matter of when and how soon. But yeah.